Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Strange Oddities Podcast. As always, I always bring all of my listeners and viewers exciting, interesting guests every week. At least I try to. I hope they are. But I've changed the format of Strange Oddities Podcast. We've gone beyond the supernatural of entertainment and beyond. I'm expanding the horizons of your minds. That's the premise of the show. You never know who's going to be on the podcast every week. There's somebody different. You never know who's going to be here. So, guys, let's get the boring stuff out of the way before I introduce these awesome people aboard the show tonight. As always, I can't hear myself live, so if there's audio issues, video issues, let me know. Message me. There's a chat, live chat. Throw a text in there if you got my email, let me know. Either way, I'd be really grateful to let me know if there's anything that I can't hear. Otherwise, you get really bad reverb. I don't want to do that to you guys. Anyway, if you haven't subscribed, guys, please subscribe to the show. If you haven't already, we're simultaneously live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So you can watch either on YouTube or you can watch live on Facebook. All right. If you guys have questions for our guests later on, hopefully they don't mind answering some really good questions. I'm really excited, guys, to introduce these people for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and read their bios, just give you a little bit of background about who they are. They're fascinating, and here we go. Alex Steinberg, we have, is a writer and filmmaker from New York City. He has worked for Marvel Entertainment's Netflix shows and online digital content. Alexander, he graduated magna cum laude, hopefully I said that correctly, from Tufts University, where he majored in film and media studies. His short documentary films have been featured on some of the most widely read blogs on the internet, such as Kotaku, if I have that correctly, Buzzfeed, and Destructoid, which I've heard of those. They're very cool. He currently works as a writer, creating original content for Subnation, which I believe is for gaming. I did my homework. There's a gaming company, and they do a bunch of gaming stuff, so it's really cool. And then we have Samantha Brooks. Our background. Samantha Brooks is an actor, writer, and filmmaker from New York City, and she graduated summa cum laude from NYU Gallatin, and where she created the concentration, the ideal narrative, fiction, film, and performance, minored in creative writing, and received an Academic Excellence Award. Samantha has worked on productions for 20th Century Fox and MGM, and has acted in numerous feature films. Her work as a writer-director has been featured at the SOHO International Film Festival, and she has received Best Actress nomination at the 2021 London International Film Festival. And if she doesn't mind, I also want to throw in there, she's the granddaughter of the iconic comedian Mel Brooks. If you haven't seen Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, he's had so many movies, and I'm a big fan of his myself. So let's get these guys in here, but we're here to all talk about them and their podcast, Alakazam, it's called. I'm going to ask them, one of the first questions I have for them is, why did they choose Alakazam for their podcast? Here we go.
Hi.
Hey, guys.
We're up.
You guys are up now. You're live on the show, guys. Again, I'm humbled that you accepted my invitation to be on Strange Oddities Podcast. I hope I didn't botch your bios too badly.
No, you're good. Thanks for having us on.
Covering my face, but even though no one could see me. Thanks for having us. We're really happy to be here.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like I said to my listeners and viewers, we throw our listeners and viewers curveballs by we never know who's going to be here. And I'm just so grateful you guys can do this show. It's really awesome. Before we get into things, how about we tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourselves, how you met, what brought you together to do Alakazam Podcast, what chose the title, what brought you guys together?
Well, we chose the title because it's the full title is Alakazam with Alex and Sam, so we just chose it because it kind of sounds like our names. So okay. that was it. Samantha, do you want to say our our origin story.
Our origin story.
Yeah.
So Alex and I met at the Professional Children's School, which is a little sort of performing arts school in New York City. And we met Alex came to the school in 10th grade. We were not friends for many years.
We weren't not friends though.
We weren't friends. We had
No, we weren't.
I want to make it sound like we were
enemies. Like
yeah.
Okay.
I thought Alex didn't like me. There was a time Alex thought that I didn't like him. We both graduated, went off to college, started FaceTiming every single day, started writing weird sketches and wrote a pilot based off of our friendship pretty quickly, which is kind of weird looking back on it. And like we've talked, I think, every day, twice a day since 2016.
For like 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we just woke up one day and we're like, oh, I think we're very close. And I think we know way too much about each other.
Yeah. Oh boy. But knowing too much or too little. Right? So, well, now we found out why we chose the title Alakazam. Tell our listeners and viewers about Alakazam. What's the premise of the show, the idea behind it, what kind of guests you have, and stuff like that.
Our logline is the magic of friendship because it's a magic title. So I thought we have to tie in something about us that makes it not like people are going to think it's a supernatural podcast, like maybe one I might know of. And we ask all of our guests to tell us about a meaningful friendship in their lives.
Sure.
And our guests to begin with were mostly people in or directly around my own family because they have no choice but to come on the podcast. And then people that we would say, hey, do you know someone else who would come on? Could you ask this person? So we have a whole bunch of guests, anything ranging from actors, comedians, journalists. We had a journalist, a COVID specialist, ER doctor. Our good friend was just on.
Yeah.
Episodes will be coming out next week. So it's all different kinds of people. Yeah. Sometimes we come up with segments. Sometimes we do a lot of research, and sometimes we just wing it, and those end up being the best ones.
Nice. What kind of segments do you guys do from time to time?
Alex, do you want to?
We do a lot of Richard Kind trivia. He's our favorite kind of character actor. So
we're really
Samantha and I used to run a fan club for him on the app Clubhouse, which is like a live audio conversation app. So we decided to bring that to our podcast. So we either do Richard Kind trivia or I don't know if we've played this on the show, but we do close encounters of the Richard Kind of people bumping into him. So that's one of our segments. I would say that's like the highlight. I would say
that's our only segment.
I think that is our only segment.
I think that is. I don't know.
That's one of our many segments.
We do segments. We do a segment. That, I don't even know if people enjoy doing that. No, I think it's fun.
Well, we have a segment on our upcoming one.
We do where I ask. Kind of a segment, I ask our friend Dr. Jeremy a bunch of medical questions.
Yeah.
That must be hard. Like, have you studied like medical when you were going to school at all, or did you have really tough questions for the doctor?
I always think I'm dying of many diseases, so I just I go to the WebMD school of anxiety. And so he answers some of my questions about my weird. I don't know. I feel like I always say things on the podcast. I'm like, edit it out. Like I shouldn't say things.
There's no editing this.
Right.
We're live.
Well, not this. Yeah, but
yeah. We're live, so I can't go back and change it. Well, I can. Well, we go back and change it, but not until the show is done. That'd be tough. So, no, thank you guys so much for doing the show. It's kind of been like months in the making, actually, because I asked a couple of months back.
Yes.
We were scheduling things and stuff, and now it's the holidays around the corner. Gosh, like, what do you guys are doing these days as far as I know, Alex, you're into gaming, I think, these days, right? You're writing for games, or
I actually don't work there anymore, but I'm working on a short documentary right now.
Okay.
And I'm working on a few projects at the moment, but I unfortunately I can't talk too much about any of them just yet.
Right.
But they're
Or
documentary writing projects.
Yeah, they're classified.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Samantha? What are you up to these days?
I've been doing a lot of writing. I
Mhm.
actually, well, in terms of acting, which has been like the thing that I can more concretely say is my profession at the moment, I just wrapped a film in July called The Universe Where, written and directed by our friend, Carl Nowak, who
Stop
I
gatekeeping
I hope
Carl.
is watching this right now. I sent him the
Yeah,
link.
we sent him the link.
And then I also was in a proof of concept for a film that my other friend, Amanda Gomez Rivera, wrote. And I think she should also be watching this right now. And in that, I played a pregnant nun, and we just shot that not so long ago in Florida. And then I've just been writing a lot. I've been writing about Succession on HBO. I've been revisiting some old weird stories.
Nice.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You enjoy writing a lot more than acting, or you enjoy equally the same?
I think writing is really something that I am. It's just something that comes naturally to me and feels like it's always happening even when I'm not sitting down to do it. And it's more, I don't want to say like what I was born to do, but it feels more like an identity. And then acting is something that's gets me out of my head and is fun to do because you're always around a lot of people.
Right.
And if I was just writing, I don't think I have been just writing, and I haven't been outside in 2 days because I've been just sitting staring at a computer all day long, which is not always the healthiest thing.
No. I'm a security guard for an elementary school, so I stare at a monitor with like 100 cameras all day long. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, you know, my eyes are just like so strained.
Have you ever caught any ghosts on the cameras on that? Because I feel like that's always in all of the movies you see, like security things. And
it's funny you say that, because just the other day, everybody was packing up and leaving for the day, and I'm kind of one of the last ones there. They don't have too many after school activities at where I work. I know there was only a few people in the vicinity of where I was, where my desk is, and there's an office next to my desk, and the door was closed all the way. You can see the frame was sealed shut, and all of a sudden the door just like pops open, and I'm sitting there going, and I thought the person that works in that office was still there, and I was like, there's nobody there. And I got it on video. I actually saved it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it like popped open, and I was like, can't explain that. It wasn't like the door swelling from any condensation or, you know, from the air
wind
blowing. It just like, because it was sealed shut and it just like opened, and I was like, okay. Yeah, so that was like one of the freakiest things that happened to me recently.
Yeah.
But how about you, Alex? You're more of a production guy rather than writing or producing, or you enjoy both?
I write too, and sometimes Samantha and I write together. But yeah, I like writing and directing. Like documentaries too are a lot of fun to make. But yeah, writing and directing. I don't act, or I haven't acted yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Got to see what I've written for you.
Exactly. I'll act
or based on you.
I'll act in the future.
Okay, cool. So what kind of things are you looking to get into as far as acting? What kind of roles, like comedy or serious roles, drama, adventure, sci-fi, anything?
I don't really, I mean, I've never acted before. I haven't really even tried to act. If anything, I feel like I would do voice acting because I feel like that would be the most fun for me. But yeah, I'm mostly like writing stuff for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Awesome. I had a really good question for Samantha. One of the really good questions I have, is it hard for you, knowing your family's legacy and stuff, to kind of, I'm sure this question gets brought up a lot, to kind of pave your own way or your own legacy for your future, is it hard for you to kind of, go where you want to go because of what you have behind you?
I think the things that I do are very weird and kind of unique. I mean, Alex can attest, having read some of my fiction,
Right.
that
it's very different.
It's very different. And I guess the one thing that I can say to that comes to mind is that for a long time I was really scared to identify as a comedy writer or to identify as someone who wrote anything funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I would write scripts in class, and I would take classes in comedy writing in college, or I would write stories that had jokes in them. But I always tried to present them to other people as serious, so that if somebody laughed or enjoyed it because it was funny, that it was a little bonus for that made me happy. But I felt really like I don't want to define myself that way.
Sure.
And then only in the past year or two, I started to say, well, I don't really care. I think I can write things that are funny, and I do write things that are funny, and I'm just going to own that and call it that. And if someone doesn't find it funny, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's also thanks to friends like Alex and others who got to know me, and they were like, no, we love you and we love what you do, and encouraged me to just make whatever I wanted and not think about how people were going to interpret it or if people were going to like it or not. Right. And I found that a lot of the best things that I've made, or the things that I'm proudest of, are things that come from saying, oh, I couldn't possibly say that. Oh, that's too stupid. I mean, that's all my conversations with Alex. Is like, we laugh because we're like, that's so stupid.
Is this funny because it's so specific that only we think it's funny, or is it actually funny?
That it's good.
Right.
And then I do that. But yeah, I feel like you kind of.
But people either like that or they don't. They'll either either gravitate towards it or not.
Right. We have actually Edward Brooks in the chat. I don't know.
No way.
I want to say hello to them.
Hi, Samantha's dad.
Oh, okay. Hello, Mr. Edward Brooks. Thanks for tuning in and listening to your daughter on our show. So I'm doing her proudly. But no, that's really cool. So when you guys share your work together, because you guys are so close, like, it was interesting you guys brought that up, because you guys find you pressure yourselves more, like when you show each other like what you're into or what you're getting, what you're thinking of writing or producing, and like, do you find that that's challenging in itself?
Like if there's pressure to show something to Samantha, like if it makes me nervous, or oh, not really. No, I'll show Samantha like everything that I write, even if it's so stupid. I'm like, what do you think of this? Even if it's the dumbest idea. Like, I feel like since we talk so much, like, how could it not come up in conversation?
Alex wrote something that's about our high school.
Oh yeah,
that was I guess it was written to be performed by the actual students in our high school.
I heard this 5 years ago. It was honestly like a fan fiction of our high school. Where I took
it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Thank you. It was it was like the characters were just the kids themselves, but highly exaggerated. So like that was something that I would show Samantha, but I don't know if anyone else would necessarily understand it. But, not everything you write has to be for everyone. It can just be for a specific group of people, especially when you're writing something in high school. I feel like the first thing everybody writes is just like them in their life. And then, because it's the easiest thing to write about. And once you get that down, it's easier to branch out.
Nice. I really admire and commend people that write, because I've tried writing in the past myself, and I tried, and I just realized like writing is just not for me. It has to be a special person to really write, even though there's a ton of writers out there, but I find that it takes a special person to put something out there and wanting to have the public see your work, and to have that certain mentality to write down your ideas and your imagination. And I don't know. I really admire you guys for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks. I feel like a lot of the day, and Samantha does this too, is like just randomly having something happen and then being like, well, what if this happened? Then what if this happened? Then what if this happened? Then like, oh wait, it's an idea, and then you write it down, you know?
Right.
That's a disorder. That's a disorder, but it's
I think it
also
is
an
a
idea.
disorder. I think a lot of it comes from like anxious moments, like
Yeah.
you know, it's like, well, what if this happened? And then it just goes down a terrible rabbit hole of stuff. But then you're like, there's some idea, there's something I can use in there for writing.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Wow. What have been some of the most standout films that you've enjoyed doing so far? What's your top, like maybe top 3 that you've either wrote or acted? Well, Samantha for more so for acting and writing, and Alex, you would be more so for writing. So whoever wants to answer that first.
Do you want to go?
I can go. I guess with acting, I had a really great time shooting this film with my friends this summer, The Universe Where, which I don't know when that's going to come out, but that was one of the best experiences I've ever had on set. And I was living with some of the people that we shot with. I was sleeping in the same room that was my character's room and kind of living it as we did it. And that was really fun. And I felt like I could just be too much. I know people who are watching, well, if just Carl's watching, then Carl knows. But Carl and my other friends from NYU who worked on this film, like you can't go too big and embarrass yourself in front of them, because that's really encouraged. And that's the only way I feel like I can work, is if I feel comfortable to just go too far and then bring it back. So that was a great time. And then I actually just had a really great time also working on this proof of concept recently, because I got to also be really vulgar and kind of ridiculous and scream and throw things and jump around. And I also think something about going to a different state and just shooting it in Florida. Like the moment I got there, I was like, oh, I'm in Florida. Like I can be, you know, a totally different person. Nobody knows me. Nobody's called me like a shy, quiet, like girl in acting class in Florida. So I just did that, and that was great. And then probably one of my other favorites was the short film that I wrote and directed and acted in back in high school, which Alex came to the screening of. The one that was in the SOHO Film Festival.
Yeah.
It's called Confession on Pleasant Street. Don't look for it. And Alex wasn't even my friend at the time, but he showed up just to.
It was meant to be.
Just because everybody went. He pretended
Everyone did go. Everyone did go. It was the cool place to be.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, like all the teachers came to this. That was one of the sobbed. That was one of the best days of my life.
All the cool kids went, like the teachers and
all the cool kids and the head of school.
Yeah.
And it was really sweet and fun and overwhelming. And yeah, that was probably like one of the best days of my life.
Nice. Cool. How about you, Alex?
I wasn't a writer on this, but I was giving notes on scripts as a part of my job here. But when I was working on Marvel's Netflix shows, that was a lot of fun. I had never been on a set like of that scale. Like it's a superhero TV show. So just, I learned a lot there, like what goes into a production like that. And the people I met there were also great. So that was great on one end. And then I feel like at the complete opposite end was a documentary I made that I had so much fun making like 5 years ago. And it was about people playing Pokemon Go in Central Park. And I was playing Pokemon Go in Central Park, but then I decided to just bring my camera one day and interview people. Yeah. And it was crazy because it was in a very like divided time in 2016, but everyone had come together like around Pokemon of all things in the park because it reminded them of their childhood. And some people got really deep, and it was a really fun kind of like run and gun experience making a movie with like a 2-day turnaround on the
Alex,
whole thing.
What was your Halloween costume this year?
It was Ash from Pokemon, and I had a Pikachu in my backpack, and I wore the hat that I got to film the documentary in. There's a little section about the hats. So that was one. And then for another project, I feel like another one I'm excited about is one I'm working on right now that I can't talk about, but
Okay.
I will be able to soon. But those were two projects that I worked on. Like it's kind of at the opposite ends of the spectrum that, were a lot of fun.
Yeah. I don't think Netflix has any more Marvel series going on their network.
They don't. There was the Marvel Netflix shows were under Marvel Television, and that was under Marvel like the main Marvel brand. But there's also Marvel Studios, so now it's Studios that is in charge of the new TV shows. But I think it was a day or two ago they announced that Charlie Cox, the actor who played Daredevil in the Marvel Netflix shows, is now going to like transition over into the new TV shows and film series. So
because Disney Disney and Marvel
exactly
now, so I that was a great show. I loved the Daredevil on Netflix. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a good one. I worked on Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
That was going to be my next question. What ones did you work on?
It was Jessica Jones season 2 and Luke Cage season 2.
Nice. Very cool. I know a lot of people loved Jessica Jones, and everybody was like, "I can't believe they canceled it." But Netflix is notorious for canceling everything.
It was because of the whole like studios thing, where where now it's just a different team is in charge of making TV shows. But I worked on Jessica Jones season 2, which I really liked. But I loved the first season of that show, and with David Tennant in it. As the villain.
Yeah. I watched it. I thought it was great, and like I said, a lot of people were into it because it was like something different for Marvel.
A little grittier, a little darker.
Yeah. It was a little think outside the box as far as TV goes.
The stakes were not like the world is ending, but it's more like a neighborhood problem or something.
Yeah. Totally. My next question for both of you guys, being that this is Strange Oddities Podcast, I always have to ask this to my guests because it's Strange Oddities Podcast, which is, what have been some of the most strangest things that have happened to you on set or in life in general? Has anything stand out to you the most, and where you say, "Oh man, that's crazy"?
Samantha knows this, and we were talking about this before the show. I don't believe in anything supernatural. Samantha does. But there was one time when I was on a set and I was in 10th grade. I was helping the special effects department of a horror movie in, I think it was Rhode Island. And we were filming it in an abandoned school. And I remember they sent me out there like, "Oh, Alex, can you go get something from the back room," which was on the complete other side of the school. And there was no electricity there. There was like, I feel like asbestos was in the air or something. Like I probably breathed it in. And I just remember hearing noises, and I don't know if they were building noises. But that was probably the most scared I've been on a set, was having to walk to this dark abandoned area in this Rhode Island school alone, and with like fake blood all over my hands and everything.
Not that it's not enough to make you more scared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, like, is this what the next horror movie is going to be about? Is me on the set, and is that what's that? It's found footage.
Yeah. Totally. Hey, how about you, Samantha?
I don't know about I don't know. I think I have some weird abilities to weird coincidences happen to me all the time.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of person who can, I think, will things to happen out of nowhere. Or I'll say, like, send me a sign, and then I get a sign. Or I can wish for something and kind of bring it to life. And I've had some strange things. I've definitely had some situations where I've been visited by people that I've loved, that I've lost, who've sent me signs in unexpected ways, too many times, and in too specific ways for them to feel like, oh, coincidences. Very specific situations.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like if you believe that something is possible, it does something But Alex, I can't talk to Alex about these things.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
I know.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day you'll have an experience and you'll be scratching your head going, okay, I can't explain it.
What made you a supernaturalist or made you first interested in the supernatural?
Me?
Yeah, because I saw on your LinkedIn that you have a paranormal investigation company. And I still love those shows like Ghost Trackers, like Ghost Hunters, where they go into the abandoned buildings and they have the EMS detectors and everything.
Yep. Yeah, we my wife and I we co-created our organization called Haas Paranormal, which is my last name. We used to have groups before, but sometimes groups become too tedious to kind of organize, and a lot of drama with too many people. You get too many people and not enough helpers. But we just decided to do our own thing recently, and we investigate haunted houses, and basically we help people that claim to have supernatural experiences or claims of a haunting, ghost, and spirits in their house. So we go to their house and we investigate with our equipment. I do a lot of interviewing, so I'll interview people and ask them specific questions that's geared toward the investigation. And it's all about just helping people, because that's the passion that we have for doing it, is to get people more aware of the paranormal and have more awareness of what's going on out there, because there's a lot of things out there that we can't explain, and a lot of people are having unusual experiences in their lives, and who else but us type of people are gonna go into their homes and investigate that kind of stuff.
What has been your scariest experience doing that?
My scariest experience. Wow, I've had a few. One of them would have to be, we were in an old place in Morristown, New Jersey, and it was an old mansion. They were renovating it to become like an office building, so there was nobody there currently. So the people who owned it let us, come and investigate because they heard things about it. And on the third floor is where they used to have the servants help the people that originally owned the building. Their servants or workers that worked for them had their own living quarters on the third floor. And we were on the third floor. No one else is around us except for 3 investigators. And we heard this weird, crazy moan go and we all jumped 6 feet in the air, because it was so loud and all 3 of us heard it.
I would just leave.
And we were
get out of there.
I was trying to be the logical one, and my wife was, because she's more skeptic than I am. And we're knocking on the wall to check if it's pipes in the wall, or the radiator nearby. And we're trying to just, because that's what we do, as investigators, we're trying to think of logical things before everything. We don't jump that everything is paranormal. But that was one of the funniest moments, actually, too.
Yeah.
How we all acted, because we were like, dude, get out of here.
Yeah, leave. What has been the most inexplicable thing that you've found?
Inexplicable. You mean kind of something that
you just have no idea where it came from, how it happened, just the wildest thing that you've experienced?
There's just been so many. There's not just one that really stands out. I've had so many.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, believe it or not, we've had our own attachment come home with us from an investigation. That has had to been our most scariest time, because when it comes to your sanctuary, your home is your sanctuary, that's your safe space, and when something comes home with you and messes with your everyday life, and that situation is much more different than when you're out investigating in fun or a hobby, when you're just trying to help other people. But when you have things happen in your own home, it's how do you help yourselves in a situation when you?
How do you get rid of? How do you handle that?
We had a psychic medium come in and do a cleansing and show us how to really remove the spirit from the home. There was a dark energy spirit that it was really hard to get rid of. And she taught us actually how to do that and get rid of, the negative energy that was there. So now we know, like, from that day on, how to protect ourselves better. So hopefully I answered your question.
You did. We flipped the script a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's cool because it happens on my show. I'll have guests flip the interview and interview me, and that's perfectly fine. I'm easygoing, so. But yeah, it's the paranormal. It's interesting. I just say, I don't try to change people's beliefs. I just say try to have an open mind because there's still so much that we have to learn that we don't know about that is unexplained, and even science says there are some things that's hard to explain, and that's why they label it paranormal. So I don't know. That's that in a nutshell, but so it's pretty cool. We are at 8:37, so we got a little bit less than a half hour left. Your guest on Alakazam Podcast. What have been your most interesting guests that you've had on your show so far?
I don't want to offend anyone because we've only had like 5 episodes.
Hey, you can name a few.
Alex, well, I have one that I'll plug because I think this one deserves to be listened to a little bit more.
When we did our initial,
when we did our initial,
it has like no views,
yeah, and I think I can explain why though. We had we started with 3 episodes, and I think when everybody went to go listen to them, they either started with the most recent episode, that's the one that always comes up on our website, or they decided to start from the beginning and listen to the first episode we'd ever released. So our second episode ever is our interview with Stephen Kramer Glickman, who played Gustavo on the Nickelodeon show Big Time Rush.
Right. I saw that on there, yeah.
He's great, and
he's so funny.
I really love that episode. He's so funny, and he does Richard Kind trivia, and it's just a bunch of questions. He talks about this
Love on a Leash,
amazing,
if you know what that is.
Terrible movie that he was in.
Yeah.
I think it's a great episode. It was one of my favorites to record, and it makes me sad that people have not listened to it as much as the others because I think it really deserves to be listened to. So that would be my answer. Yeah, Stephen Kramer Glickman.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Any others that stand out?
Well, I feel like if we pick more than one,
and my family, and
all of Samantha's relatives that have come on,
all my relatives who have been and will be, of course, goes without saying.
I really liked having Adam on, Adam Lederer, who is our friend from the internet, come regular friend.
Well, speaking of conspiracies, and
we talked about he writes on a Netflix show called Inside Job. And it kind of is about it's an animated comedy about conspiracy theories. So we got to talk a little bit about conspiracy theories on that episode, which was
things
fun,
we believe in,
I've had some guests on Strange Oddities where we get into conspiracy theories and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Which conspiracies?
There's so many. One of the ones.
Well, what's your favorite one?
My favorite one. Oh boy. Conspiracy theory. Well, we had the Titanic. I don't know if you've ever heard the Titanic conspiracy theories.
This is exciting because
this is
Emma, who's been my best friend since we were 2 and is like my sister. I think she's watching this right now, and Emma's a big fan of the Titanic and has a big poster, not of the Titanic movie, but of the original Titanic ship on her wall.
Nice. Yeah, I love the Titanic, the history of it, and the movie, obviously, with James Cameron was like one of the best movies ever. Just the way they captured everything about the Titanic and what happened. This is a tragic time for what happened to those people and stuff. But I did a 2-hour special on Strange Oddities Podcast with Titanic historian Craig Sopin. And I was supposed to have an actual descendant of one of the survivors of the Titanic that was supposed to be on the show, but she ended up getting sick. So we just had Craig Sopin, the historian, on for the whole time. But we got into stuff like there's a few wild theories that some of like the real rich people that were there, like the Astors, were conspiring against J.P. Morgan about the Federal Reserve, and before the Federal Reserve got created, that they were against the idea of the Federal Reserve being created and controlling, the financial things of businesses and whatnot, and that apparently one of the theories was that J.P. Morgan, and he had something to do with the sinking of the ship.
J.P. Morgan planted the iceberg in the middle of the water.
Right, but he's the one that built the ship, that financed building the ship. So why would he do that? So it's like,
this is why you never trust a finance bro named JP.
Yeah, right.
New York City advice there.
Yeah. And then there's other crazy things about the Titanic where they thought like maybe the workers down below that work with the machines down in the lower Bowery, wherever you call when they put the coal
steerage.
The garage, there you go. That they sabotaged it, so they were like, is it possible that maybe they sabotaged it so that they wouldn't steer out of the way of the iceberg? But my mind is like, well, how can one predict that there's going to be an iceberg coming?
Yeah. And why would they want to sabotage it if they were on the boat themselves?
Right, exactly.
Then they'd just be killing themselves.
Yeah. And then another interesting thing was what Craig mentioned was the guys who actually played the music until the end of the ship splitting and sinking, that they actually played till the very end. And a lot of people were like, how did they manage to keep playing even though the ship was like this?
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then even the piano, the guy said that the piano didn't like move. It was like still like on a angle. It's such an angle or whatever. He was like, that piano should have like, took off because of the weight. But yeah,
doing what he loved until the second he died.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So that was a cool episode. I wish I could have had the descendant of the survivor on. I was gonna have Helen Benzinger, she's like, I think a great niece or one of the relatives of the unsinkable Molly Brown. So she was on the ship and one of the ones that survived. Her story, her background is great because she's a woman who revolutionized in her own right, because she actually was one of the few women that ran to be a politician in the state of Colorado.
Wow.
And whatnot. So it was really interesting things that I never knew about that I learned. So,
yeah. I have to listen to the episode and then go down a massive rabbit hole of Titanic research after this.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then it's great. It's I love these topics because they're entertaining. They are. So, but what's upcoming projects for you for Alakazam? Are you working on any guests that you have coming up?
There's one we're trying to. I don't think we should say who though.
We shouldn't announce it yet.
It hasn't been confirmed at all. But there is someone we're really excited about who we've been trying to get. And is there someone else that we have lined up?
We have Dr. Jeremy this week to talk about COVID.
Dr. Jeremy episode coming out pretty soon, which we got to get out soon because he talks a lot about
Omicron and what's going on right now with it. So yeah, we do have to get that
and
out.
It was very nice of him to come on because he does like Anderson Cooper and Katie Couric and took some time to talk to us.
This was a big break for him, our show, I think.
This was his. Yeah. But this was his big break.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we're really trying to keep it moving, keep it weekly.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's bi-weekly.
Sometimes
by mistake.
Yeah. No, I totally
Sometimes
get that.
Alex is by,
Yeah.
It depends on the day.
Sometimes it's hard for me because I'm the only host. I'm the only host of the show, and I don't have a co-host. So if I have a guest that bows out on me at like the last minute, I'm like, I can't have a show with just me talking by myself. It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
We've never done it just the two of us. Although I think we
had an episode with glitches.
Yeah, we had to jump in. Yeah, if anyone wants to listen to our an episode that's our glitch edition because Alex got cut out for half of it, and we kind of had to go back in, and that's probably the closest
we have a back and forth. Yeah,
you get to hearing what we're actually like, just between us, because we were planning on editing all of that out and then just left it in.
Nice.
So
nice. What do you guys find the hardest about your podcast?
Alex?
Nothing.
You're so easy. Good at it.
No, honestly, probably staying on time. Like, people think, oh, it's just once a week, but it's actually really hard to like find a guest and produce a whole episode every week, and including editing and everything, because we like go through with a fine-tooth comb with these episodes when we edit. So it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think it's writing, like my instinct to want to write it all down beforehand. And I like to write jokes, and then I have to let that go and just see what happens in the moment. So I think it's good practice for learning to not be hard on myself and not be such a perfectionist about everything that I'm saying, because there's always a part of me that's like, let's just pause it and go workshop this for 2 days and then come back and then script it and then act it. And then I'll act both parts, and then we'll
edit it, and the editing will go word by word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been good, because not every episode of anything is ever going to be perfect. You're not going to love the way you sound or the way that you say something in every episode, and that's part of it.
Yeah, I can totally relate to what you had just said, because I used to belong to a network before I started producing my own shows. And I used to have the producer of that network, like, call us up like every day. You know, you didn't do this right. You didn't do that right. This sounds terrible. Your audio's got to get better. Like, nitpicking on like every little thing that we were doing. And like, I just learned that years later, what I learned from that was I now understand why they did all that nitpicking, because I kind of became, I guess, if you want to use the word anal, about how the audio quality sounds or how the video looks. Because like if you want a quality product, you know, you want those things to look and sound good. You want it presentable. And like, I kind of understand that now, but back then I was maybe a little naive or a little inexperienced when I was doing those things with the network. So I was like, in a way, I've learned a lot, you know?
Yeah, of course.
You know,
we did a lot of research on microphones and everything before.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And there's just like what I tell everybody, like, I don't want to sound like I have an ego, because I don't, but there's a lot of factors that go into a podcast. You have all the technical aspect, you have the research, finding the guests, you know, just like all that stuff. It's a lot of hard work. You know,
it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but enough about me. We got 10 minutes left, guys. I want to like plug any events that you guys have coming up. You guys want to share anything, any charities, any shout outs, things like that. You guys take the floor. Let our listeners and viewers know what you guys are up to.
I have no charities, but follow me on Instagram.
I was like, oh no. Yeah,
I'm like, I don't have a charity.
Well, if you guys want to go listen to our podcast, Alakazam with Alex and Sam, our website is Alakazam, Alakazam podcast.com.
Yep.
And you can also find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. That's all linked on the website.
And all
then
of our
you can
socials
follow us.
is
Alakazam Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Nice.
And then do we want to plug our personal accounts?
I'm Real Steinberg on Instagram.
Yeah.
Steinberg Films on Twitter.
Nice.
I'm Fake Steinberg on Instagram. And I'm so it's salmon, like the fish. THA Brooks on Instagram and also Twitter. And then I have a secret TikTok that nobody's allowed to follow.
Uh-oh.
I think those are the main platforms. But you don't have to, you can just go listen to our podcast.
Right.
Yeah, give us one listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing right now.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll plug Immaculate Deception and The Universe Where. Not sure when those will be viewable, but The Universe Where film on Instagram, Immaculate _ something Deception also on Instagram. You can find them if you look in who follows me or who I follow, and go support them on GoFundMe, Indiegogo type stuff.
Nice.
Support independent film. Yeah.
Specifically
ones
Samantha
I'm in.
independent film.
Specifically ones that I'm involved in, but in general,
Yeah.
in general as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. That is really awesome. Guys, do you have any advice for our listeners and viewers that want to get into the industry or into those who have creative writing skills, those who are in college maybe that want to get into the industry you're in? What would be your advice to people as far as newbies out there?
I feel like I'm a newbie.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for us?
You have advice for us?
Just be yourselves.
Be yourself. If you write, just write a lot. I don't know.
Write every day, even if it's bad. Write something. It's better to sit down and say, I'm going to write something bad than to just say, I'm not going to write something good. Sometimes I just write the bad. I'm like, okay, I can't write today. I'm just going to write the bad version of whatever I'm thinking about, because
but sometimes you'll find something in the bad stuff that is good to use for something.
Yeah.
It's just keeping your mind going.
Submit to literary magazines. If you like a book and you feel like you have a similar style, you can always find the agent of the person who you like and find their contact info and send them stuff. Say, I think I have a similar voice and style to so-and-so. And yeah, writing sucks, but it's also the best. And it's really painful, and it's okay that it's painful. Like, it's fine that you're not weird because it's really uncomfortable, and you're not bad at it because you don't want to do it. Probably you're better at it because you don't want to do it, because you value it and you have good taste and you hold yourself to a high standard, which is good.
That's always the reason I don't want to write, is that I'm like, it's going to be bad and I'm going to hate it. It's never that I don't want to do it because I don't enjoy it. It's just that I'm nervous.
I agree
about the end product.
I'm the same way. I saw something on a website about writing that said, it's good to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you're not comfortable, I think just saying, okay, I'm going to sit down for an hour and just feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You know.
Do you guys find that when you write something that you think could be like something that people might not like, or stuff that you don't like that you think you don't like, but do you continue writing it, or do you like stash it away for a while and then go back to it, or would you write it out and just leave it, kind of thing?
I try to write it out, but I've been going through that. Even today, I was going through that. Yeah. I try to find something in it.
If it's something that I think that other people won't like, but I like, then I'll finish it. But if it's something that I don't even like, then I'll usually just stop.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I've tried writing, and I like think it's good, and then when I read it, I'm like, I can't put this stuff out there. You know, it's like, you know, you try, but you know, that's why my advice for people is never give up. Never give up your dream, and just keep trying. And, you know, eventually you'll find your limelight. Whatever you're good at, wherever that is, you'll eventually find it. That's all I agree. Yeah. But guys, it was a great time having you on the Strange Oddities podcast. I hope you guys had a great
Thank you for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Stay on the line with me. We'll say our goodbyes after I play the exit video here for everybody.
Okay.
Tell everybody our fabulous guest that we're going to have next week. We're going to have a Christmas special here on Strange Oddities Podcast. We're going to talk everything about Krampus. I don't know if you guys like Krampus, but we're doing a special about Krampus.
Like him.
Yeah. December 23rd. I'm going to have a guest from the Black Forest Krampus Festival from Pennsylvania is going to be a guest on my show and tell us all about the festival and what they do and everything about Krampus. So if you guys have been good, which I hope you've been good, if you've been bad, Krampus might come. I don't know. So we'll see. All right. Strange Oddities podcast listeners and viewers, I hope you enjoyed our guests. I'm going to play our video. You guys be well. As always, thank you to the men and women who serve our country, all the policemen, all the EMTs, doctors, nurses, all the soldiers who fight for our freedom. I'm a patriot, so I always pay tribute once in a while to all those people. Do what you do. God respect. God bless those people. And that's it. We're going to end the show like that, guys. Guys, any last words? No?
I'm at a loss for words.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
All right, we'll minimize them. And guys, have a great night. We're going to play our video. Hope you guys enjoyed our guests.